Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mark from the States. How are we doing today? Today, we are going to learn about the prettiest towns in Cambridgeshire. Okay, sit on this big fake couch. You know the drill. Look, links below. Alex in Great Britain is the channel. Alex has, of course, been gracious enough to allow us to learn and see new things from his channel, and I am so grateful. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you. Please go over there and like and subscribe and do the things. If you have one like and one subscription, please give it to him. I know a lot of people go, oh yeah, here's this, here's the spiel, but it's true. You got to go over there and support the original content creators. We're just here to learn. For me, this isn't my career. A lot of these guys that we watch and girls, they do this for full time. So it's important that we go over there and support them. Without them, I'm not able to learn and see new things. Y'all know I'm going to eventually get over at some point, and a lot of this has just really just been, getting the juices flowing, if you will, for me, and it's just learning a lot of new stuff that I'd never even known about. So, and from what I hear, a lot of things you guys see, you haven't heard before too, stuff like that. So that's awesome to hear. We can all just keep learning and seeing really fun and interesting things. So it's important they get over there and support him. Links are below. So 2 weeks ago, I think we did what was 2 weeks ago? We did I know we did Bedfordshire, Berkshire. What was 2 weeks ago? Buckinghamshire. That's it. So today is Cambridgeshire. All right. Looking forward to this. Hopefully the heater won't be too much of a distraction, and hope everybody's doing fantastic. Right? Let's get into this. This has been a really fun series.
In the east of England is the county of Cambridgeshire.
Okay, that's a lot of counties. All right. I'm assuming that's what all those are. Of course, we're not going to be doing all of those, but okay. Very cool.
Its county town may be world famous for its medieval university, but there are some stunning market towns lying in its shadow. But what are the prettiest? To establish this, I visited them all personally, and my conclusions are presented to you in this top 10 list. As per the rules of this series of videos, villages are not included for consideration, as there are just too many of them, but cities are. And with Cambridgeshire being home to 3 cities, that may just come into play. Anyway, let's get straight to it. Number 10. Getting us started is a town that was once an island prior to the draining of the marshy fenlands from the 17th century. But this being Cambridgeshire, that actually doesn't narrow it down much at all. But for those of you local to the area who've clocked the tall spire of St Mary's Church, you'll know I'm speaking of Whittlesey.
Whittlesey. I think I've heard of Whittlesey. I don't know anything about it, but I think I've heard of it.
As well as the aforementioned medieval church, Whittlesey also boasts its very own 17th century buttercross. What's a buttercross, you might ask?
I'm asking.
Well, it's a structure like this one, where historically farmers would sell their dairy products at market without any threat from the rain. Throwing in 1 or 2 thatched cottages in the mix, you have this rather elegant looking town. Number 9. Now to a town whose first known resident is said to have been Honour the Hermit, way back in 679 AD. Another settlement that was originally an island, which in this case likely provided a haven from the turbulent conflicts between the East Angles and the Vikings. Chatteris.
Chatteris. Whittlesey, Chatteris. Okay.
In addition to many fine old brick buildings along the winding high street,
Like the
one of
brick.
the architectural highlights is the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul, whose tower dates from the 14th century. From the top of the tower, it is claimed to be possible to see both Ely Cathedral and Peterborough Cathedral, on a clear day, of course, and probably with some decent binoculars. Number 8. And now to a place where it's March all year round, in the town of March.
Ah. The town is called March. Okay. Or Mach. Intos. Whittlesey. Mach. Okay. I don't think I've heard of this town, but again, I don't hear of a lot of them. It's just interesting that while a lot of the towns that I've noticed do have very similar looks and feels to them, there's always something there that makes them stand out. At least, whether it's to my novice, naive mind and, outlook on them. Without knowing any of the history, I'm not sure about them all being known as islands at one point. Surrounded by water. That's a whole nother video, I believe. But you do see, I don't want to say a blueprint, but you kind of, obviously, towns are going to be made the same way, based on the needs of the people creating the place, I guess. But you also see the very distinct individualistic choices that the town will eventually, get over time. So far, we're seeing a lot of brick, which is different from a lot of the other videos. You saw a lot of like Tudor style buildings. Here, you're seeing more brickwork, and I'm here for it.
Sorry, my team of pun writers have gone on holiday. So, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, this town was, you guessed it, once an island. Lying on the old course of the River Nene, it was also a minor port from all the way back in the 16th century, when cargo vessels came as far upstream as here. A big deal in an era prior to canals, and one of the driving forces of its development, along with the 17th century draining of the fens. The March of today boasts a riverside adorned with colourful houses, as well as the distinctive Renaissance-style town hall completed in 1900. Number 7. Now to the first of a handful of entries from the historic county of Huntingdonshire, a county that was effectively relegated to the status of district as it was swallowed up by Cambridgeshire in the 70s. A topic I covered in a recent video, so if you're interested, there's a link in the description. The town is St. Neots. The town was named
St.
after a
Neots.
Cornish saint whose body was mysteriously reinterred here in the 10th century, away from his original resting place 250 miles away. There's more history here still, as the Battle of St. Neots took place in this very town centre in 1648. It didn't end well for the royalists, some of whom perished in the River Great Ouse trying to escape. Being situated on the Great North Road, or essentially the A1 in modern terms, St. Neots has managed to stave off ultra-modernisation, more so than other commuter towns at least. Number 6. Here's the perfect example of why I do include cities for consideration in this series of videos, because this city is home to around just 20,000 people, making it one of the smallest in England. Ely. Historically, this has often been referred to as the Isle of Ely. I think by this point you can probably guess why. Its most notable landmark is without a doubt Ely Cathedral.
Holy smokes. Yes. Look at that. That's a beauty. Ely Cathedral.
whose construction began all the way back in the 11th century by the Normans.
My God.
Despite not having a
Incredible.
spire, the cathedral is visible from several miles away owing to the flat marshy terrain, something which was demonstrated by none other than Pink Floyd with their album cover for the Division Bell. It also provides a pleasant backdrop for the city's bustling marketplace.
Well, that's pretty cool. I think I'm going to make that the thumbnail. That's pretty cool. We're going to go ahead and make that the thumbnail. Oh, doggone it. That's not what I wanted. Sorry about this, everybody. Okay. That's incredible, though.
It also provides a pleasant backdrop for the city's bustling marketplace. Number 5. Now for yet more island hopping. Historically speaking, with a town that was once home to one of the wealthiest Benedictine abbeys in the country, Ramsey. When
I've heard of
Ramsey Abbey was
Ramsey.
founded in the 10th century, the area could only be reached by boat. Today, it's a little more accessible, although there isn't a railway station for a good 10 miles or so, and buses aren't exactly frequent either. Some may claim that this helps it retain its rustic aesthetic, though I'd argue that an equally effective measure to that end would be simply not greenlighting concrete tower blocks, for instance. Either way, it's hard to deny its small market town charm.
Not green. Can I go back?
To measure to that end would be simply not greenlighting concrete tower blocks, for instance.
I'm not sure if I can understand what he says there. You'll have to help me out there. Not green lighting concrete towel boxes? Is that what he says? One more time.
Then would be simply not greenlighting concrete tower blocks, for instance. Either way, it's hard to deny its
Towel box?
small market town charm.
You'll
And
have
it's
to let
perhaps
me
one
know.
of the few towns where it's possible to see leftover Christmas decorations and daffodils in the same space. Number 4.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
now to the county's most northerly town. Sandwiched between Norfolk and Lincolnshire is the town of Wisbech.
Wisbech. I'm really a fan of that, though. That's cool. Wisbech.
Between Norfolk and Lincolnshire is the town of Wisbech. If you're wondering what effect the draining of the fens from the 17th century had on Cambridgeshire, look no further than Wisbech. In short, the county was transformed from something akin to a swamp archipelago to a thriving centre of agriculture, and in turn, Wisbech grew into a wealthy port town that traded with the Baltic. This explains the ubiquity of fine Georgian and early Victorian buildings that line both sides of the River Nene.
Oh, yeah.
There's also a rather unique street layout to Wisbech on account of its castle around which roads were built, except the castle itself is long gone, and in its place is a Regency era villa, and I mean genuine Regency era, not like that fake stuff in Regent Street in London. But perhaps the biggest head scratcher around Wisbech is how this town of around 30,000 residents has no railway station.
Oh.
Number 3.
Interesting.
Now, I'm sure you're familiar with the riddle that starts with the words, "As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives." But perhaps the real riddle is, which St. Ives was the narrator from this 18th century verse going to? Well, there's a strong hypothesis for it not being Cornwall at all, despite what many would assume, and that it's in fact its namesake, St. Ives, Cambridgeshire, or rather
St.
St. Ives,
Ives, I've heard of St.
Huntingdonshire, as
Ives.
it was at the time. In any case, here's a town that owes much of its existence to the monks of Ramsey Abbey from our number 5 entry. After they built a bridge over the River Great Ouse here, drovers began paying tolls to cross it on the way to market. The stone bridge standing today is from the 15th century, along with its very own chapel attached, one of just a few instances of this in the country. The statue of former resident Oliver Cromwell in the very centre of St. Ives may divide opinions, but there can be little doubt as to the aesthetic charm of this riverside
I love
town.
it.
Number 2. And our runner-up spot goes to a former Roman settlement at the crossroads between Ermine Street and the Via Divana. To the Romans, it went by the name Durovigutum. Today, we know it as Godmanchester.
Okay, Godmanchester. I mean, it's not hard to say. It's an interesting. The original name was tough, but this is interesting. Godmanchester.
Here's a town that often gets overlooked. Although it has no railway
Never heard
station
of
of
it.
its own, the first sight to greet you upon approaching the station of the neighbouring town of Huntingdon is the 17th century spire of St Mary's Church in Godmanchester. Those who venture south of the River Great-Ouse from Huntingdon will be rewarded with many pretty views in this erstwhile Roman fort.
Love the
Of particular
colors.
note is Godmanchester Chinese Bridge that spans a mill stream, as well as a healthy scattering of timber-framed buildings, the likes of which you rarely see at all in Cambridgeshire.
I was just saying that. You don't see this style very often here. At least, as he pointed out, it's not very common. You all know by now, I love this sort of thing, the architecture of it. And in the previous videos, we saw, the thatched roofs and these timber frames, and there were aplenty. It's just how these towns have their own, unique, individual personality. It's very cool.
That just leaves one more spot, but first, an honourable mention to a city that gets a bad rap, and one that's exacerbated by opportunistic YouTubers who see it as a soft target.
Wow.
But to preempt the inevitable remarks in the comments section below, along the lines of, "Where's Peterborough, lol?" Well, here's Peterborough. Does it have its faults? Sure. But name me one city or town that doesn't. And if it's as bad as the clickbait YouTubers say it is, how do you explain Peterborough Cathedral? Well,
I am not aware of what he's talking about. But that, Peterborough, this cathedral, wow, that is jaw-dropping. It is pretty impressive. And it did not make the list. It's an honorable mention. And apparently there's something going on with YouTubers. I guess they all come here and do videos and stuff. But that's, I would go there too. Wow, that is cool.
I'll leave you to ponder on that one. Number 1. And as tempting as it was to throw a curveball at the end, this one's a little predictable.
Cambridge?
It would make no sense not to award the top spot to Cambridge.
Boom.
So, the world-famous university city has its academic origins in the 13th century, but its history goes back way further still. This is evidenced by one building in particular, namely St Benet's Church, whose tower is early 11th century Anglo-Saxon in origin.
Wow.
And this is one of dozens of churches in Cambridge, and more still if you count college chapels. In fact, the only thing it's missing is a cathedral, hence why it took until as recently as 1951 for it to officially gain city status. Another highlight of Cambridge is the River Cam, which weaves around the college buildings, making for a popular experience in the form of punting, i.e. propelling a boat by pushing a large stick against the riverbed. Then there's Pembroke College Chapel, the first ever commission of an aspiring architect by the name Christopher Wren, and the 18th century Senate House, whereupon a car mysteriously made its way onto the roof, courtesy of pranksters in 1958. In short, from the sublime to the ridiculous, Cambridge has it all, thus concluding this list of my picks for the top 10 prettiest towns and cities in Cambridgeshire. By all means, let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
I like it.
The plan is to get around every single county, so if that's of interest, feel free to subscribe.
15
Or
videos
catch up with the
so
previous
far,
episodes
or
via the
that's
link on the
still
screen
not
now.
sure.
Thanks for watching, and have a great day.
Go visit his channel. Support his channel, please. Real important that you do so. Yeah, Cambridge, of course, in my brief look, is pretty awesome. Peterborough, that cathedral is pretty cool. I don't know what the deal is that he was referencing, but a lot of interesting facts here, or at least tidbits that has piqued my interest. The fact that all of this was a marsh or underwater and they had to drain it. A lot of these things were islands. A lot of these places were islands. That's pretty funky. But yeah, there's some beautiful, man. That's why I love watching this series with all of you. I mean, obviously, I love the information that I get back from you, and some of it is just pure joy because you lived there or grew up there, and it's just wonderful hearing and reading all this stuff from you. But also seeing these places that I had no idea even existed, and it's interesting to see their own, like I said earlier, personality, but yet a lot of them stick to a traditional kind of a layout, at least what he shows. But it's just, they're all, like, they all so far look really chill, and just, you could just walk down the street and just have such a peaceful day. You know what I mean? They give you that really calming vibe, I guess. I mean, they're not bustling cities, of course. They're not London. So it's different. I get it. But they just, they're just their own character in this giant story that is England. Interesting. Let me know, of course, if you live in one of these places or have lived in one of the list. If you have another town, of course, that should have been included. But yeah, I'm interesting to know what he was talking about the Peterborough Cathedral. That thing looked crazy, like awesome, like crazy as in like awesome, good, beautiful. This was fun. I love these videos. I really do. I appreciate y'all cluing me in on these. We'll do another one in a couple weeks, but for sure, I can't say that I like one over the other. I would have to physically go to all these places, but just interesting that there are so many places that you could just kind of randomly drop me somewhere, and I would find the best time of just walking around. They're all walking cities, though. It looks like towns, and I love how there's a canal here, river, and that the people use it for leisure. Probably some use it to get around. Who knows? But it's really cool. Oh, that's another suggestion. Thank you to all of you. Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. And we will see you in the next one. Take care. Oh, and by the way, thanks to all of you who came out for the live stream. It was very fun. A lot of conversation. It was good. Very good. All right, everyone. Take care. We'll see ya. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark.